Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are so glad to be in community with each and every one of you today and every day. My name is Tony Showala. My pronouns are she and her, and I am joining from what is now known as Northwest Ohio, which is located on the traditional lands and unceded territory of the Potawatomi, Kickapoo, Kaskaskia, Peoria, and Miami peoples. As folks are joining, we've just already put out there, but you're welcome if you haven't yet to introduce yourself in the chat, share your name, pronouns if you'd like, and where you're joining from. We also like to start with a connection prompt, just to get folks in this space and maybe getting to know each other a little bit. So today's connection prompt is simply to share an intention for our time together. It might be something that you want to focus on during this time we have together. It might be a way you want to show up, a role you want to step into. It might be something you want to let go of. It might be something you want to ignore. Whatever your intention is for this time, you're welcome to pop it into the chat and share how you want to be showing up in this space today. So we've designed today's space very intentionally to be informal, connective, full of curiosity. We hope that you'll walk away having met someone new, maybe learned something new or fresh, and or feeling inspired to plug in more deeply into this wonderful network of change makers. We will be recording this part of it and the fellow spotlights. We'll be doing a little bit of recording toward the end of the session as well, where my amazing colleague Claire Byrne, who's joining us too, will share ways to get involved, but breakouts and large group discussions will not be recorded. So you don't have to worry about saying all of the right words. If you have questions at any point, feel free to send a direct message either to me or my colleague Claire. And I will pass it on to Claire to introduce herself and to share with us our norms.
Hello, it's me. For those of you who I haven't met before, my name is Claire Byrne. I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently calling in from a very cold and wet Vancouver Island in the Cowichan Valley. So for any of my West Coasters here, I hope you're all doing well. And I'm normally hosting these wonderful sessions, but today Tony is taking over from myself. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'll be the Zoom wizard Wicca in the background to answer any questions that you may have. But for what we love to do for our time together is just really establish that how we want to set up for, or how we want to show up in these spaces that we create as fellows for this community. So we're always aspiring to show up in ways that will feel inclusive, safe, authentic, collaborative, respectful, and kind, most importantly. And I think these all feel incredibly important. And also that will just promote learning and support our purpose. So to solidify this, we have on the screen, and thank you, Tony, for putting that up there, just a couple of things that we like to commit to show up. Take a moment to scan them, review them, look at them at your in your own time. And also, I'm just curious to know if there's anything in particular that resonates with you today, or anything that you feel incredibly drawn to, or very important for you today. And also, equally, if you feel like there's anything missing from this list, this is something that we believe we should constantly come back to and respond to the needs and desires of our fellows and the communities that we serve. So if you have any questions on any of this, just pop it in the chat and I'll be delighted to help you. And I am going to tee up our wonderful cruise director for today's session, Emily. So in honor of our International Women's Day and Women's History Month, our four female identifying speakers will be chatting a little bit about their work in the world, ways that you can kind of get involved in work, research, things that they have going on. And they're really going to bring to life the depth, diversity, and experience within this amazing network. So we're really excited for you to learn from them, hear from them. So I'll hand it over to the lovely Emily, who'll be moderating our fellow guest speakers today. So thanks for listening to me, and over to you, Emily.
Absolutely. Thanks, Claire. I appreciate it. Um, Thank you all for being here. Happy Women's History Month. Happy, almost International Women's Day. I am so honored to be in conversation today with some 4 really badass women that are on this call, doing some really amazing stuff, and I've just gotten a chance to know them. I'm Emily Weiner, and I am a fellow. I've been an RSA Fellow for a little over 10 years. I am also part of this incredible team working with Tony and Claire to be able to move some of the RSA US's work forward, and it's a privilege and an honor to be here with you. We have a lot to cover in a short amount of time, and I want to make sure you hear directly from each of our speakers. So I'm going to stop talking and tee up these incredible women. I'm going to ask each of our guests to share how they want to show up in the world. They'll introduce themselves however they see fit right now, and we'll spend about 3 minutes with each of them giving us who they are, what they're working on, any ways that the RSA has played a role in their work, or if there's any way that any of us on this call can get actively engaged in the work that they do. I know 3 minutes is not a lot of time. It doesn't really give us a chance to get to know someone, but our goal is to get into smaller breakouts and conversations quickly. So this will be your little taster, your amuse-bouche, before we get into the broader conversations and the more in-depth connection that we'll have in those sessions. I am going to start with Maria. Do you mind, first of all, who also, in addition to being just an incredible creator of calm and mindful, also happens to be our fellowship counselor for the Americas. So thank you for serving that role for the RSA. Maria, can you share a little bit about who you are, what you're working on, if there's any ways that the RSA has shown up for you, or any asks you might have of this community?
Thank you for having me in this space. And it's a privilege and an honor for me to be among all of you. And this is an opportunity of a lifetime in my situation, in my case. I joined RSA in 2021, and from being a fellow, I moved into the role of counselor elected for the USA in 2022. Then they expanded for 1 more year, and I was re-elected again in last year. I am in several organizations where I volunteer my time, sometimes in a board member or a founding member, sometimes as a mentor, and in another times as a grassroots organizer. So with New Jersey Progressive Equitable Coalition, I serve on the steering committee advocating for clean energy, environmental justice, and language accessible outreach, including presenting in Spanish at clean energy and jobs events for frontline communities. In my township, I'm one of the commissioners of environment appointed by the mayor, and we are 10. So we focus on local sustainability, community education, and making sure statewide climate and equity goals translate into practical action where residents actually live. Then a friend reached out to me because she knew I was working. I have been doing work within the environment, climate justice, and sustainability since 2010 as a volunteer, because this is not what I study. I work in special education, which is another, I would say, a sector. So she appointed me as volunteer chief of sustainability for Mahila Ojami, and I collaborate on a global women's empowerment initiative. We are having a parallel event with the CSW 70 March 12th. And we start building an economic empowerment hub for rural women. Initially, we wanted to do it in Puerto Rico, but they asked $1 million for that project. That's what it was needed. In India, we want to prove that this is doable, but in India, the cost goes to, let's say, 25,000. So that's why we are doing it in India, to show that this is a model that can be replicable in other countries. I was appointed by the friend as volunteer ambassador for the Caribbean Global Institute. And in that role, I'm supposed to find in Latin America, I would say, talent from the Caribbean who moved in the diaspora, and make sure they're part of this organization. And we are instituting a Global Research Institute. And through the Global Research Institute, we are trying to track the slave trade, and the commonalities and the slave trade research between the islands in the Caribbean. So we're looking at Puerto Rico, Santa Lucia, Trinidad, Tobago, and what are the commonalities in there. In my county, I joined the Commission of the Status of Women, and in my lenders in there is to highlight environmental burdens, economic precarity, caregiving responsibilities, and intersects for women and girls. And this is more like an advisory council. We are volunteers also, but this impacts 21 municipalities, the decisions we make and the activities we do. My work is deeply aligned with RSA, such as regenerative futures, fair education, and inclusive economic systems. In practice, that means localizing the SDG goals, especially quality education. I see my practice as contributing to the RSA tradition of practical wisdom and combining life experience from frontline communities with policy advocacy. How the RSA has been shaping my journey. Being part of the RSA has given me a global frame for what were once local concerns, helping me see my New Jersey and Caribbean work as part of a broader movement, social, economic, and environmental transformation. I am planning, and this is something that is on the works with fellow leaders, a panel, a Las Americas panel. We had a meeting 2 weeks ago, and the title of the panel is Designing a Circular and Inclusive Future, Architecture, Disability, and the RSA Mission. In that conversation, we will explore how the built environment, circular design, and accessibility intersect with climate justice and social inclusion across the Americas, and how these themes advance the RSA commitment to a fairer, more regenerative world. My ask, my offer, and my ways to connect. My ask for those attending is that if you're working on environmental justice, clean energy transition, inclusive design, disability justice, or women's economic power, especially in frontline migrant and rural communities, please connect with me so we can explore concrete collaboration. I am particularly interested in co-developing curriculum, joint research, pilots that center women and youth as leaders. My offer is my experience as an educator. I work as a learning disabilities consultant in a vocational technical high school in New Jersey, and I'm reaching my retirement in a couple of years. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't stop, because I will continue working and doing this volunteer work. My offer is my experience, coalition builder, bilingual advocate who can help design programs and moderate dialogues. You can connect with me through NJP public channels, through my consulting work at Calm and Mindful, which is a small business owned by myself and my 2 daughters. So it's a female small boutique. We do some consulting. We do a lot of pro bono, and we use qualitative research methodology when they ask us our help. And these are my 3 minutes.
Yes. Thank you, Maria. You are extraordinary. Thank you. We've been putting lots of links in the chat so people will know how to find you.
Okay. So I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. Thank you, Maria. There's lots of links in the chat. I highly recommend you get in touch with her. Maria, I love how you are able to leverage this network to take what might be seen as hyper-localized social impact and really understand a way of amplifying that in a broader way. So thank you. Thank you for that. Right now, we're going to move on to Zoë. Zoë, we're going to head in a very different direction. I'm so excited for this community to get to know you. Zoë, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're working on, any ways that this community can amplify your work, or ways for us to get involved.
Sure. That's a hard act to follow, firstly, let me just say. And it's astonishing the people that you meet as a result of being in the RSA. My name's Zoë Camper. I live in Las Vegas, which is a really weird and odd place to end up in life, but I love it. The outdoor life here is incredible. You can have some fun, and I am progressing my career on a more kind of global basis, having moved countries. As you can probably tell, I'm not from Las Vegas. I joined the RSA in 2004. So 20, however many years that is, don't read too much into that. I joined and I wasn't very connected really, but over the years I've become more and more aware of what is possible when you connect with people who are incredible and who want to do something amazing in their lives. I am the founder of my own business. I've run businesses in the UK and now in the US. My interests are in creativity and the impact we can have on technology. I used to just say I love technology. I now am in a place where I think you have to be careful what you wish for. There are many questions that are arising as a result of artificial intelligence, and painting those pictures in a way that's understandable is what I'm really about. I have worked with the RSA and a colleague to put on 3 exhibitions of artists, over 30 artists, including Sawyer, who's on the call today, to demonstrate why creativity is important and how artists, thinkers, writers use creativity to explain the world that they live in. I ask myself sometimes why I do this, but actually, one of the most important things is to not ask why, but to ensure that you do. Creativity is one of the most important tools for a resilient human being to have happiness, to be able to work. And that's where I am at the moment and have been for virtually all of my career. I'm currently on the board of a very small museum in the middle of absolutely nowhere, in the middle of Nevada, which is just phenomenal. And we're working on making spaces that are available for people kind of to be marked safe in terms of being themselves and being creative. So my ask really is that if you work in how to connect rural communities, if you're interested in the arts, if you're interested in creativity, it's just simple. Just please get in touch. Thank you.
Zoë, thank you so much. And I love everything about this because so often we think about creativity in our professional selves as something you need to check at the door. And the reality is it's one of the most crucial elements we need for connection. Everybody's creativity will show up in different ways, and making space for all of that is crucial if we're
Yes.
going to move everything forward, especially in a AI-driven tech world. So thank you for all the
Yeah.
work that
And I
you're
think
doing.
just if you think creativity is important, you are in a minority.
Yeah.
Please don't think, as Emily has just said, that it's a given. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Zoë. I so appreciate that. We're going to switch gears again, although I think you're going to see a theme of inclusivity amongst all of our speakers today. And let's bounce this now over to Nicola. Nicola, can you share with us a little bit about who you are, what you do, how you show up, how the RSA has maybe helped you, or any asks or opportunities for this community to amplify your work right now?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. As introduced, I'm Nicola, and I'll start with a short version of what I do presently. And sometimes I describe it as workplace therapy or workplace strategy with a hint of therapy alongside it, because I design conversations within the workplace that move forward ideas and thoughts that may otherwise get stuck. And our tool that we've designed is more like a framework for conversations that enable people to get past things that they usually turn their eyes away or don't talk about. Like our conversation about money with financial officers, when we started that body of work, we started by asking people what had their gender taught them about money that they had never considered. And that enabled people to realize that there were some undercurrents that informed their decisions that wouldn't have normally been there if we had just said, hey, do you have feelings about money? And what does transition look like for you if you've never actively chosen a transition. And now I am focusing some effort on a research initiative that colleagues and I are working on called Philanthropic Intersections. And we're looking at what really happens when community, philanthropy, and knowledge meet in the same room, especially when power is in the mix. And why that work is interesting and also like exciting for me at this point in time is because I've always sat on or been a volunteer for organizations of high impact. I presently sit on the board for AANE, which is an organization focused on neurodiversity in the Boston and nationally across the US. I sit on the board for St. Albans, which is early childhood education, where we have 3 sites supporting early childhood knowledge, and a vast other organizations that I'm involved in. But you'll see a through line that all my work and all my interests requires conversation. And my premise is that it's hard to have a relationship and live relationally if we don't talk to each other. And so that is my excitement about RSA and why I recently rose my hand to become an ambassador for the great state of Florida. And so I'm excited to get to know everyone and meet other people. What I am looking for and can offer is I can offer a great strategic question if you're willing to hold the question and not quickly resolve it. And I look forward to meeting people, hearing what they're building, as well as having you contribute to our work on philanthropic intersections. Thank you.
Nicola, thank you. That's awesome. Excuse me. I'm so excited that RSA Fellows are going to get to benefit from you in Florida and hi from the opposite end of the East Coast. Too bad I don't get to play with you down there. As someone who runs a company called The Connectors, you are speaking my language, right? Everything is based on relationships and connections, and the only way we can really move complexity forward is in direct conversation with each other. I frequently say that one of the benefits of RSA Fellowship is the company that we keep. So I'm delighted to be in company with you and in conversation with you. Thank you so much for all you're contributing to this world. And those are some really meaty questions that you are posing there, particularly challenging all of us to sit with the questions longer than race to the answers. So thanks. That's my reminder lesson of the day.
You're welcome.
And last but most certainly not least, I'm going to bounce us over to Sawyer. And Sawyer, can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on, how you're showing up, how the RSA might have shown up for you, and any other ways that this community can amplify your really, really cool work, which just seems really appropriate for Women's History Month.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to get to meet everybody. So I'm an artist and I've been working on a project for about 8 years now called the Carrying Stones Project. Um, what it is I take women's labor data and use large scale sculpture and data visualization to make those numbers and stories accessible to people who might not know anything about women's labor inequity. So the way it works is I have participants in the project who have interesting work stories, track their data for me in a timekeeping app that I built. So they tell me about their paid labor and their unpaid labor and anything else they're doing. And then I build a data visualization sculpture, and they're huge. They're like really large scale. That's an actual data visualization of her work hours. Like you can read it as a data visualization. And this is sort of where I connect like the human side of the data. When the sculpture is done, I take it back to the woman who gave me the data, and I take a photographic portrait of her lifting and carrying, or sometimes being squished by, or, the physical representation of her labor hours. And then I get to, I show the two pieces together, and then I get to tell a story. And the way I choose people is sort of so very like diverse backgrounds and histories and work positions and kids and no kids, but also maybe it's like I touch on women in academia or women entrepreneurs or so it's also topical. Um, the RSA has been amazing for me. I know I've showed with Zoe and the rest of the Augmented Society Network with another data project of mine, and that's been amazing. And my next data sculpture for the Carrying Stones project is actually about single moms, and it's featuring Julie Samuels, who's another one of the Augmented Society leads, which is so exciting. And then I came to last month's connection session and met amazing people, and I was like, all right, I got to be a part of this. Like this is so great. My asks and offers. My asks are always, I just want to meet people related to any of the things that I do. So like, yeah, curators would be amazing, but also like anybody at museums. Like I also, it's not just art. I do like interactive events and I teach classes and I give artist talks and lecture university classes. So if you know anybody connected to any of that, that would be super cool. Reach out to me. And then my offer is always if you have some cool data set that you want to collaborate on a visualization, like let's talk because there's so much possibility. Um, so yeah, if you think that art could connect some boring data you got and make it interesting to people that you want to get a message to, hit me up. Thanks.
I love this. And what I love about this is most people think of data visualization as being this really wonky, boring, horrible thing that you have to do. And you have made it so clear and approachable and accessible. And your art is extraordinary. Just thank you. And I had the privilege of meeting you for the first time on one of these connection sessions, I think a few months ago, and
There you
same
go.
with Nicola and others. So here's the power of these sessions. You never know what might happen.
It's such good stuff. Thank you.
Such good stuff. Thank you, Tony and Claire, for always hosting these. With that, I know we're running up against time, so I'm going to bounce this back over to my friend Tony, who's going to take us from here. Thank you all. I know some of you I've seen have already started to find me on LinkedIn, but I will put my LinkedIn profile in the chat as well if you'd like to continue to connect. And lovely to be in conversation with 4 really awesome women today.
All right, welcome back. So it's likely that most of you are familiar with the RSA, being RSA Fellows and everything. But we like to do just a little bit of a blip that shares a little bit of context of the RSA, just to make sure that everybody has the same information and connection with the organization and the work and all of that good stuff. So the RSA is a global civic membership organization, uniting people and ideas to solve the challenges of our time. Our roots trace back to Enlightenment era coffee house culture, where people were getting together to exchange ideas, just like we did today, challenging the status quo, imagining new possibilities. And since then, our work has continually evolve to meet the needs of each era and support progress across industries, sectors, and communities. We are a 501c3 affiliate of the RSA here in the States, and we leverage our 270-year-old history rooted in creativity, connection, and innovation while staying nimble and entrepreneurial in our approach. Our team is small but mighty. Boop, there we go. With Alexa, Claire, Emily, and myself. And we leverage the best of RSA's 270-year-old lineage and engage our almost 1,300 fellows from across the US to mobilize change through collaboration, shared learning, and relationships. So what do we do? As a nonpartisan membership organization, we use our convening power and global connections to identify what's needed right now and uplift the people driving progress, also known as you all. Through gatherings, partnerships, and local initiatives, we connect big ideas to real world impact, bridging cross sectors to address the most urgent challenges. We are a trusted convener and connector, bringing people together from vastly different backgrounds and fields to create unlikely partnerships, unlock shared purpose, and create solutions for enduring impact. And with that, I'm going to transition over to Claire to share a little bit about ways that folks can get involved.
Hi, and this is mostly for those of you who are either, well, not mostly, this is all going to be relevant, but I mean for folks of you who are maybe new to this community or re-engaging with the RSA after maybe some time off, or you've been hunkered down and work in research mode. This is a couple of things that we have cooking and what's coming up for us. And I think myself, Tony, Alexa, Emily really view the US community as a kind of choose your own adventure. So depending on where you're at in your life, in your career, you may want to lean into or dig into some of these, or may want to come back to them at another point. So we really believe in the storytelling and the power of storytelling as such an important aspect to this community by sharing different perspectives, by amplifying the work of fellows through the likes of our fellow spotlights, US newsletters, and digital campaigns. One of which is our Threads of Joy campaign, which we have going on at the moment, which we're really excited about and probably way too nerdy about at the moment. We're in it. And we are inviting fellows, and I'll pop the link in the chat in a minute, to share your stories, your reflections, your achievements, your challenges from 2025 with us. And we're going to compile this into a booklet with some social media cards to share over the next little while. Mostly because we don't want to do a really boring impact report. We want to bring it to life through the stories of folks in this community. And we think that's definitely more powerful and more relational and more how we work. So we'll share that in the chat in a little bit. We have our monthly events or virtual salons, as we call them when we're feeling fancy. And those are spaces for fellows to come together, to gather, to chat about emerging topics, interests, themes that are bubbling up through this community. We have lots coming up. We've something like, what is it, 8 or 9 events in like a 6 or 7 week period. So come talk to me in April if you want to do an event with us. The next couple of weeks are pretty crazy busy, but we love to co-design our events with our fellowship community and really have them be relevant to the communities that we are serving. And our thematic networks or micro communities are essentially spaces for folks to come together around themes, and as well as our regional hubs is like getting folks together and fellows convening other fellows in place. So we have different ways of kind of looking at how we gather as a community. And we are growing our regional hubs all of the time, and we are really lucky to have our new Florida ambassador here with us today, Nicola, and we're excited to launch some other new hubs in the spring as well. And then lastly, mentoring. I think mentoring is such a powerful way to connect people across disciplines, across ages. Like, reverse mentoring is also something that we're looking at doing as well. And we can share some more links in the chat. But these are some of the ways that you can, should you want to, plug into our network, to collaborate with us, to experiment with us, play with us a little bit, and to choose your own adventure. And I will chat then about some of the bits and pieces that we have coming up in the next month, if you don't mind just sharing the next slide, Tony, when you get a second. So it is March Madness, as one of my recent newsletters said, not because I'm a basketball fan, but because it's just insane with lots of different things kind of all coming together at the same time, which is how it happens. So we have an event with our Gender Equity Network on March 10th, and that's going to be an intergenerational conversation. It's going to be really wonderful with a couple of different fellows across the States and in England participating in that conversation. We'll also have the relational career with Melissa Wong, who is our Portland ambassador and is just doing some really interesting stuff with her Coherence Studio. And she's going to be looking at how to look at your career from a non-transactional, like traditional kind of networking perspective and really put the focus back on relationships. Our town hall, we really encourage all of y'all to come and participate in our town hall on April 8th. We are hoping that this will be very participatory, really a conversation with our fellows, not in terms of a presentation format. So we really welcome your thoughts and reflections. Our next connection session is going to be May 6th, and we kind of like to alternate them every We were doing these quarterly, and now every other month. We are hoping to do 1 month with a group of fellows speaking and sharing their work, and then 1 month of very chill, lots of different connection opportunities. So alternating that based on feedback we've gotten, rhythms, and kind of what works. But if you're interested in speaking at our June connection session, hit me up. I'll put my email in the chat as well. We'd love to have you participate. And then some connection opportunities. I already mentioned our Threads of Joy campaign. Circle is the place to go if you want to connect with fellows virtually. Social connections in our community practice. I'm just mentioning it. There's too much to go into. Tony will put her email on the chat if you want to dig into that. And then last but not least, don't be a stranger. I'm always up for grabbing a virtual cuppa, connecting behind the screens as like humans behind the screens, learning a little bit more about our work. So you can always just reach out to me if you have any questions. And Tony, I've got like 17 things on the chat there popping up. So you've been lighting up the chat. But thank you so, so much. I'm mindful of time. Just really, really glad to be in community with you all. I always learn something in these sessions. I'm always super inspired by these communities or conversations that we have in community with each other. And just want to thank you for your time and choosing to spend this past hour with us. It means a lot. So Tony, over to you.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for being here. I know we are at time, so if you need to jump, I totally get that. We do often hold a little bit of time after these sessions. If you all want to stay on and just kind of have an informal chat, we can do that. I will step